I'm in competition with myself and the version I was yesterday. That's it. That's who I put myself up against. I let God guide, and I want to be better than I was yesterday. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discernment. Most importantly, build those solid relationships. There's no shortcuts in entrepreneurship. There's not. Welcome, everybody, to today's episode of Ignite the World podcast, episode number 2. You see, it's official, right? But real quick, I want to let everybody know I am your host, Jamie Dottie Garza. And if you haven't yet, please, I would encourage you guys to hit subscribe so you never miss another podcast episode. As you can see, I came through official this time. I got the official mic with the official equipment, hopefully sounding a lot better. But the reason I say that is because I've never been a person to let the technology side of things stop me from starting something I really want to start. In fact, starting is the hardest part. You know, we can talk about it for days. We could tell our friends, we could tell our families, we could tell anybody. But the hardest part is actually starting it. So here I am, episode number 2. Like I said, it started already, it's ignited. But the second hardest part is consistency. And that's what I strive to deliver in building this platform, showing up each and every week for you guys. Ignite the World podcast. Let's get it. First of all, I just want to say God is good. God is great. I am very grateful and thankful for all the love that I received last week on the first episode and announcing that the podcast would be releasing last Monday. I was overwhelmed and just full of gratitude from the messages I received, the comments, the shares, the likes, the hearts, the encouragement, the phone calls, the texts from friends, from family, from people I met 10 years ago on my journey, people who know me for like 15 years ago that I met, to my clients I work with each and every day, I was just like, wow. And that's just my community. And hopefully I'm able to expand this platform even larger, a larger net to impact more lives. And that's the whole intent of this. So thank you, everybody, from the bottom of my heart, for everybody who subscribed to either this YouTube channel or the Apple Podcasts, who shared it, who screen capped it, who listened. I am beyond thankful and grateful. Which kind of gets into, like, I ain't gonna hold you. I was low key a bit nervous my first episode in recording, but like I said, you got to start. So got my groove back. I'm in my bag real quick. And I kind of wanted to, I was like, what should I talk about this week? And this week I want to focus on more of like my origin story and how I got into entrepreneurship, specifically, doing video, filming videos, running a video production company. Because I didn't just wake up one day and be like, hey, I'm going to be a business owner. I'm going to have a camera and I'm going to make money from it. I didn't realize that till long, long after I got bitten by the entrepreneur bug. And that's kind of like what people think, right? They think that, oh, he was successful overnight, which is never the case, and which is never the case. Like, everything's a journey, Even Jim Carrey, he, from what I've heard, it took him 15 years before he broke into the movie industry with his blockbuster hit Ace Ventura. And I look at like wrestlers. I'm a big wrestling fan. I look at like Stone Cold. He had to go from stunning Steve Austin to almost being cut by Vince McMahon because he didn't have a gimmick. And then he became Stone Cold Steve Austin after the King of Ring. He did this infamous promo. And then look what the legacy he has. And, everything is a process. Everything is consistency. Everything is starting and building. And I want to elaborate on that this episode. I grew up in an era where we didn't have the luxury of even having video. I was born in 1989. I'm 33. We didn't have the luxury of a video camera. It was expensive, like super expensive. Home movies and the VHS cassette tapes. I went through all the eras of that, digital cameras, to those flip cams where I started at, which I'll elaborate more in just a second. to now being able to document everything with these beautiful things, these phones. You can literally film anything. And it's an incredible time to be alive. And I just want to like reflect back on this again entrepreneur journey of where it started. I think a lot of it attributed to even when I was growing up. First of all, we was outside as kids. You know, we was active. You know, we wasn't really inside. We would play video games here and there, but we was active. And I remember one of my best friends, shout out to Rocky. I remember he had to be like maybe in fifth grade, had to be like 98, 99. There was these berries outside his house, back of his yard. And instead of a lemonade stand, we wanted to make berry juice. And like we legit picked up a lot of berries. We smashed them like they was wine or something. And we were trying to sell berry juice. And that sticks out to me because that was kind of like my first taste of entrepreneurship. I always liked making money. You know, I always love hustling. Is I believe it's like deep rooted in me. I would try to mow lawns and excuse me, mow lawns and things like that. And I was like trying to like backtrack, like looking at my family who's an entrepreneur, and I look at my uncle Leroy, who used to, what's up, Theo Leroy? He used to take me on during the summer. I was like too young to make money, so he would let me work with him. I was like 15 or so, and he had his own painting business, and I would contract for him. I learned hard labor early, working with my hands, painting, doing drywall, and it was great. I got my first taste of it, and just seeing him build and continue to build to this day his empire. And he paints homes, and he is great at it. And just seeing him grow. And my aunt Monica, who lives in not San Diego, but she lives in Hawaii. She owns her own business out there, and those are kind of like the roots I see within my bloodline of having the spirit. But it all started for me really like had to be like maybe 2000, 2001. CDs were getting hot, and 50 Cent, I remember 50 Cent, the mixtape circuit. I was a mixtape DJ. That's what I aspired to be. I love making mixtapes, blending music together. I went by the DJ name J Dot. If you know, you know. If you went to Brook Point, shout out to Stafford, you know. And H Pool, you know, like, and I was I wanted to be like DJ Green Lantern, DJ Who Kid, and those hip hop figures. And what I used to see them do, and it wasn't the internet. We didn't really have the internet back then. We didn't have, no, seriously, we didn't. They would sell music of a compilations and sell mixtapes. And there was a local bootlegger I used to purchase these mixtapes from because they were hard to get. You know, they were really hard to get. This good music, Dipset, 50 Cent, D Block, all that. And that was a time where like my friends and stuff were starting to rap. And I took it upon myself to actually make these mixtapes and make compilations for them and sell them at school. And not only was I putting them on, which is entrepreneur spirit, because essentially when you're a business owner, you're serving your community, you're serving people, and you're helping people. And that's essentially what I was doing back then. I would sell these mixtapes, but that led to selling music, bootleg music. I remember I was able to I remember these albums like Black Album and Get Rich or Die Trying. Those were great paydays for me. And eventually word of mouth just went crazy. You know, like I was selling music. I had access to music. It was harder to get. We didn't have Apple Music or anything streaming at that time. So I learned entrepreneurship early. I was like, okay, I buy a pack of 100 CDs. If I sell these at 5, I make this profit. This is my overhead. And it was off to the races. And relationships that I've built, I realized like, holy snap, this is business right here. This is business. This is entrepreneurship. This is hustling. And I was such a good kid in school. Like I would finesse it. I ain't gonna hold you. Like I think I'm past like the constraints of what can be tried or whatever. But what I would do is I would make covers and it would say for promotional use only. So basically, they would buy the cover and the CD would come free. So I kind of finessed it. So I never got in trouble for selling music or anything. And these mixtapes, these CDs, these albums, these personal mixes, like I would charge extra for someone had a personal mix they wanted to have. And it was great. You know, I was making some good change. I didn't need a job per se in high school. It was just side hustle money. I used to like getting fly and everything. So I think like those are the days I realized like I got my hustling backbone, and I attribute that to the next level up of where I went. Like when I started working at Best Buy, shout out to Best Buy in Stafford. You know, I learned 1476 best in the mix. I learned a lot of my sales traits, my confidence you hear right now, my my charisma, selling to people, building relationships, building trust. They would emphasize that. Have fun while being the best. I attribute that to a lot from like '08 to 2012. And the reason I mention them is because that's when I actually picked up my first camera. It was a flip cam. And I remember I won it during Christmas at a time. And I remember that'd be like 2009. I was heavy into mixtapes and being a DJ. I was documenting everything. That's when YouTube was bubbling up. I wanted to create Dottie TV, and I was out partying a lot, just having fun, going to concerts and studio sessions, and I would document literally everything with this camera, this flip cam. And that's how I learned how to edit. I would get it, I would edit it on, I think, Movie Maker, because I didn't have Mac back then. And I learned how to edit. And it wasn't until I bought an iMac. I was going to college. I forced myself into college too, by the way. Like I didn't go for any, I went for graphic design. And actually, Mr. Rodriguez, he told me one day, he was too real. He was like, it's not really that much money in this industry. You'll be better as a freelancer. And then after that, I was like, shh, well, at least I got a Mac. He kept it. So shout out to him if you're watching this. And that's why I was like, because I always liked graphic design. In fact, I used to make money with graphic design, designing album covers and flyers and promotional things. Like again, hustling. This is hustling backbound. This is everything leading up before I even graduated high school. I'm equipped with all this arsenal of expertise. Anyways, back to the story. I got an iMac in like 2010, and I learned iMovie, and that's what set everything on fire. Like I was producing so much content. If you find it on YouTube, it's out there still. I ain't gonna tell you what it's under, but it's out there. Everything's documented, and I was building the buzz off of that, an audience off of that. Where's the camera? Where's the camera? I always had the camera, way before cell phones, and that kind of like opened my mind because it came to a thing where like CDs and music wasn't selling like that. You could see things transitioning, like mixtape DJs weren't really needed no more. So I wasn't really making a lot of money in it. And that's when I got into filming music videos. And it was because I was selling cameras at Best Buy, DSLRs. My first camera, I remember I bought for tax refund. It was a Nikon D3100. Wish I still had it. I think I gave it to a friend that I never got it back to. So it is what it is. It could have been like a age relic per se. And this had to be like 2011. And I had some close friends of mine. I was like, yo, you should let me film your music video. I could make it better than I always like being better than everybody and pushing myself to that limit. And that's exactly what I did. I made my first music video. And I was like, okay, got the DSLR. I took it up a notch, got more consistent with it. I plugged in where I needed to plug in. Everything was networking at that time. Everything was relationships. And no one told me it was that. I was just making that. And eventually got to a point, I'm at Best Buy and my mind's not even focused on work there. I can't wait to get off full time so I can pour more into this quote unquote hobby that I wanted to really make a career. Somehow, some way, I had no clue what that was going to look like. And I worked hard. I worked 40 hours there and I still put in work outside of my 9 to 5 full time. Wow. Just recalling, it seems like yesterday. I remember I was maybe only charging like $150 a music video. 250, right? But that was big money for me. And I remember I hit like maybe 20, well, what was I? 2012. It was like 20, before I was 21. And I know it was getting hectic. I was plugging with the right people. And I know it was about to go to the next level because I would have to call out. I would have to make a decision. Like I was getting Twitters on DM. You remember Chopper from making the band? I remember he was looking for a music video. I think Lante, Trace Punta, shout out to you. He added me. He mentioned me. Chopper City was looking for a music video. And I remember I was on Twitter and I responded to him. We DM and I got on World Star because of that. I did like 2 videos from Epic. And I remember I had a call out that day. That became more frequent too when I was making music videos. And I'm thinking about it like now, like I was going crazy. Like no one taught me how to make a music video. There wasn't no YouTube tutorials on how to do this effect. Everything was really live in the trenches. Learn as you go. Work with the work. Young Gleesh used to always say that. Work with the work. Shout out to Young Gleesh. I used to do music videos for him. There was so many. It became to a point where I was working with so many local stars and superstars, like Fat Trail, the Slutty Boys at the time, Light Show. These are all like big DC rappers who you probably would recognize. Their voice, Dottie do my video, and you probably can recall that era. And I remember I was in like the roughest hoods in DC, risking my life. Who's this guy who's not black? Who's this Spanish guy? Who's this Chamorro guy? Like, who is this guy? It's Dottie. And I'm here to shoot the video. And I put my life on the line numerous times. But that's how much I love what I wanted to do. That's how much I wanted to excel. And I did. Did that for years. And that's why I have the work ethic I have now, because I'm going to make a way no matter what. And you have to have that entrepreneur spirit in order to succeed. If you don't have that backbone, you're never going to build an empire for you to see it worth anything. I've been building this empire for over 10 years. 10 years, yes, with video, but way beyond that. Even when I was doing graphic design, when I was DJing, doing mixtapes, selling CDs, like it's been in me since. And to bring that back, I remember it was like 2012, 2013. First of all, it was 2012. And I took the biggest leap in my life. I was working at Best Buy for 4 years. This is my 4th year. It was like high school, right? You go to school for 4 years, right? And I remember it was a summer. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to do this full time. And I remember that day. I only had like maybe 2 people support me, maybe 3, less than 5. Most of the people at Best Buy was like, oh, you sure you know what you're doing? You're not going to have health insurance, or how are you going to survive and this and that? Like, these are older people, crushing my dream of what I wanted to do. I knew for a fact I got offered leadership positions numerous times there. I declined them, not because I wasn't good enough for it, but because I knew my heart wasn't in it. This wasn't my end goal. I was great at what I was doing, very appreciative, but my end goal was always something deeper. And you can ask anybody in these comments, anyone on Facebook who comments and chimes in on this, that's facts. And my mom, shout out to my mom, she's always encouraged me, anything I wanted to do. I remember I was like maybe 20, 21, 22 at the time. And she was like, why not? And she was right. I had no kids. I was responsible. I was, always worked the job. I had a safety net. I was living under her roof. She's like, now's the time to do it. And I'm so glad I did. I put that, it's 2 weeks in, shook the world up. I'm bringing this story up because a good man of mine, shout out to Tony Logan, we were chilling a few weeks ago. Shout out to Mello, Lee, Stacks, everybody who was there before Christmas, and he brought up this story and how like it inspired him, and it was like moments like that I don't realize because I just be in the day to day, but little things like that is just taking that leap and going for what you want. And that's what I advocate for. And that's why I continue to advocate for. And that's why I ain't never turned my back since I've been running my business. It's a lot of passion behind it, as you can hear. And shout out to my wife right now. She wasn't my wife at the time. Oh, battery about to die. Hold on, guys. My bad, y'all. My bad. Camera battery died. I should have changed batteries. Rookie move, right? Like, what video production guru does that? But we back. We back like we left our car keys. Before I got rudely interrupted by that, I wanted to give a shout out of who supported me. At that time, I just met she's my wife now, a whole wife. Yaya, Kayana. We were dating at the time. She caught me at the time where I was on that cusp of leaving Best Buy and me meeting her. And this is another story too. I'll get into our love story a little bit later. And it's me going through this transition of doing this full time. So she was there from the root. So it was her and some close friends of mine. Shout out to Marcus. Shout out to my boy Rocky. And maybe like two others. Other than that, everybody was against me. They were calling me crazy because I wanted to take this leap because I believed in something. But they couldn't. They had limited beliefs and ceilings around them because they ain't never do it. They ain't never seen no one do it. So I don't have it's no hate, no salt to them no more. I understand now that I'm older, the wisdom and knowledge that God has blessed me with. By the way, this is all God's plan too. Because you know what? I wasn't fully aligned with God. I drifted off. So I just want to give a shout out to God real quick because he there was so many bumps along the road. I was going to dangerous hoods in Northeast, Southeast, Harlem in New York, the Bronx, Washington Heights. Like I was with this camera. All right. That's all I'm gonna say. He had his hands on me, fingerprints through it all, even though I wasn't fully believing in him and I was sinning often. So I just want to give praise to him. That's why I'm doing this now, because I give all praise to him. Back to the story. Everything was sweet. I'm moving through the transitions, like, all right, cool. I got clients, whoop, whoop. I had a little fake 401k. I remember I balled out. I got a little hotel. It wasn't even crazy. It was at the Super 8. Had some champagne. I'm celebrating. I had a couple friends come through. Life was cool. And this was going on. I was sleeping in. I was like, yeah, let's get it. That money dried up quick. By the time December came of that year, this was like 2012, yeah, going 2013. The boy was broke. This is the thing about rappers too. No shade. A lot of them, they talk a lifestyle. I mean, it's entertainment, but they don't really got the lifestyle. So they wasn't really paying for music videos. I remember I went on Craigslist just trying to hustle. I was just trying to make some shake. I did this. I was so down bad that I had a camera. I was like, oh, someone needs engagement photos. And they were real quick. I took them. I apologize right now because I fumbled it. It was down. It was in Central Park, and I got a call from the father that she wasn't impressed by him, and that hurt my soul. That's why I don't go photography. By the way, just because I have a camera doesn't mean I'm a good photographer. Like stuff like that messed up. That gave me PTSD. I do motion pictures. I don't take still pictures. So, FYI, I told you I was gonna keep it real on this podcast, keep it vulnerable. But yeah, it ended up eventually like not working out. I mean, I was only charging $150, $200 a music video. And I think by the time January hit, I was like, yo, I need a job. So I ended up going across the street and I went to Lowe's. Shout out to Lowe's Squad, man. Shout out my boy Diego, my boy Longway, Jackie, Sarah, Steve Craig, Amy Ducker was good. Shout out to y'all, man. I met some good people. I met some good people in every establishment I went in. That's how I know, like, and the older I got into entrepreneurship, I realized relationships are everything. Like, the backbone. You want to know the secret right now to running a successful business? Relationships. Straight up. Dropped in a lot of game within this. I went to Lowe's and I still wasn't fulfilled. Like I was doing 8 hours at customer service and I was still like jot down, 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning. I'm jotting down ideas of how I can get out of here, what ideas I can do, what video I can make, how can I do this, and it, I, that didn't last long. Um, I got to go. I remember I called out Lowe's for like a whole month. Like, and they made me call each and every day. My boy Marcus will tell you, we was in LA with DJ Ski, and he was recording music at Ski's Lounge. It's not there no more. It was in Hollywood. And he got opportunity. We linked up with the neighborhood, the sweater weather. Shout out to Jesse and them, man. So let me know. It was a cool run. It was my first time even working with famous people outside of rap. And I was just like, yo, I gotta get on. Like my dream at that time was to make a music video on TV, which it did. Shout out to Marky Goldchain. We actually did make it on Access TV at the time, world premiere. And that felt real good, seeing your video on MTV. And I was like, cool, I want more of this. It didn't work out that way though. And for a good way. This is about the time I was hitting like 25. And I remember I went into a fake, not midlife crisis, but it was just a 25 crisis. I remember crying in the bed with my mom because I was like, dang, I'm not where I want to be. I want to be working with the big rappers. I want to work with like Gucci or like Gucci Mane or, Currency or like, big name rappers. And that's a whole relationship type of business I wasn't able to cover. I did what I could on a local level. But I was like, it's got to be something out there. Shout out to my boy Rocky. He was close friend, childhood friend, best man at my wedding. I had two best men, Marcus and Rocky. Like just like this to me. Rocky I talk to every day. Rocky always had this entrepreneur spirit too because I was actually making berry juice with him back in the day, like fifth grade. And he was on his journey of doing YouTube and doing basketball coaching. No one was doing that at the time. This is like 2013, 2014. And I remember we would chill. He would kid me. He'd be like, yo, man, you should do my YouTube videos. I'd be like, I ain't doing that. I'm out here in DC, dog. I'm filming music video. I'm popping. I thought I was a rapper at one point. Like that rapper lifestyle, I was living too. And everything that came with it. Partying, drinking, smoking, Molly. Not proud of the decisions I made during that, but I was a rapper. Excuse me. Going to stadium, going to Fuego, strip clubs. Like I was really bout that life. That's what we used to call it, like bout that life. Doing that on Mondays and Tuesdays, like not even the weekends. Like I was turned up. Again, growth. Growth. I'm gonna give you guys the raw, okay? And I remember he finessed me one time and I ended up filming not music videos, YouTube videos for him. But it wasn't until like working with him and his partner at the time that I started to realize like, wow, there's a whole nother avenue for video out there. Marketers use video. My boy Rocky was using video to sell courses on how to get better at basketball. And he was using YouTube as a funnel to get people to the landing page to buy courses. And my mind just blew. I was like, yo, I can make this happen for her. I can make a career. Because one thing I didn't want to do, I didn't want to be washed up 30 years old, still filming rap videos. I didn't want guns in my face no more. Do you know how many guns that were loaded? They weren't props. I wasn't trying to do that no more. Because I was like, what if I have kids? What if I get married? What they ask my kid, oh, what did your daddy do? Oh, he shoot rapper videos. I'm not knocking that too, by the way. Not knocking it. When you hit a certain age like me, it's not the move. I'm old, man. Like I'm older, I'm wiser, I should say. And I enjoy getting old. When I had that shift happen my life changed. I started working with agencies to do video work and produce content for them. I work with a lot of baller internet marketers. I don't want to say their names right now because that relationship went kind of left, but shout out to homie who was in the situation, who gave that opportunity. You know, he taught me a lot, and most importantly, if that didn't crumble, I wouldn't be here right now. So what was quote unquote bad at that time was the biggest blessing in my life. And that's how I got here. You know, working with internet marketers, they use a lot of persuasion, they use a lot of copywriting. Content is everything for them. And this is like 2015, 2014, 2015. Things was bubbling. 2016, and you could tell like everything was getting more pushed for video, and I was making great money to a point. I remember I wouldn't leave the house, like I was just editing. You know, I wasn't at time to outsource anything. I was just doing all the editing work for your YouTube platforms or Facebook platforms, and it was great money to a point. Like I realize now, like my wife, who's my wife now, she was like, dang, you don't leave the office. I was crunched up for like 8 hours, like unhealthy. I had no idea of what like balance was or what was most important with, you know, a newborn baby, or do we work or month. Like I had no clue. Still wet behind the ears. Anyways, I was able to live that. And it took one day, I remember, when the agency just told me like, hey, we're not moving forward with any more contracts. Sorry. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I just moved into a new spot, upgraded living, up the living space. Like I'm banking on this money every month. It was a good amount of change. It was the most amount of money I've made ever. And then all of a sudden back at zero. And this was like everything went full fledged and it really hit the fan in 2018. And at that point I realized again, it's the biggest blessing in my life. It wasn't then right then, but it caused me to make a name in the community, which this is going to be my 5th year of Ignite Cinemas, doing video production for small businesses and nonprofits in my community and using the power of video to help them grow. That's been the consistent message since 2018, October 17th of 2018. And I remember nobody knew my name in the community. It was quiet. I didn't have no face card. No one knew me. I remember even I tried to do free videos at one point just to get my name out. No one trusted me. And it was so discouraging. You know, I remember my wife came home. She was working, I think, at Massage Envy at that time. And I was just cuddled up in the ball crying, I remember. Because she came home from work and I felt depressed. I felt less of a man. And I took this course. Shouts out to Marcus Rideout. And it was like how to sell video. And it was the biggest investment of my time. I think I invested like $1,000 for Video Warrior. And it taught me how to sell and how to position myself in the market and how to build a name. And one of the biggest things it said is start with your chamber of commerce. Start building genuine relationships. Start networking, having conversations. And that's what I did. I didn't make my first sale. I remember I lied to my wife. I told her this story, so it's all good. Hey, baby, I remember it was like Christmas of 2018. And she was just asking me, how networking go? You get a sale? You get a sale? No. Because I've never charged like low rates to begin with. I didn't never want to devalue what I do and the value I bring, because if I would have did that, I would have looked desperate. And I was trying to think long haul. When you're an entrepreneur, you do got to think long haul game. If I would have did that, my reputation would be trashed right now. Like people would look at me as like, oh, that's a guy who does it for cheap. No, I'm luxury. I'm top dollar. You get that because you get the results, because it's one of one. It's not like I can help you. I can help you solve problems faster. I can solve your problems with video. That's what it is with me. I remember I did a free video, but I told my wife that they paid. They didn't have it in the budget, but I told them that they paid. I got my first sale like literally 6 months. I waited 6 months for my first sale. Shout out to Dan Craddock, Metro Nova Creative. He was the first video I did in 2019. I remember clear as day. I sold him on a brand story video that he still uses to this day, and it still converts for him. What up, Dan? He's a great mentor to me. I learned a lot from him. Great relationship. Good dude. Was at my wedding. Dan rocks, man. And that's when I got bit by it. And I showed up consistently every day since. Community work, networking, giving back to the community, volunteer work. You can name it. I done put the work in. BNI networking, I've been in BNI this is going to be my fourth year. Building genuine relationships. I'm proud to say I ain't never used ads. I ain't never used an ad to get leads or anything. Genuine word of mouth, using video marketing, using everything that I'm telling people to use, using it, being a testament of it. And that's what keeps me going. Like last year, after I got married in 2021, my video production company expanded. I got into weddings. You know why? Because I built relationships with my wedding planner, and she was feeding me weddings. And then I was like, yo, what if I take this more seriously? After I got married, I was like, okay, I understand the game. I could sell it more. And that's what I did. I had relationships with the place I got married at. Shout out to the Dominion Club. I became a preferred vendor there. And then I had relationships with other vendors in the area. Shout out to Arbor Haven. Shout out to the Ospreys. And they would just I was a preferred vendor. And then I would start marketing. And then boom. And there's another tier in my business. So last year was lit. And then here I am now, like always staying ahead, always thinking deeper. They said that YouTube was going to be 2023 the biggest platform for podcasts. Short form video is playing well on all algorithms of platforms, IG Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, LinkedIn. We ain't never had this time where one type of video is playing well on all platforms. I'm here right now, ignite the world. Everything's in good timing. It's God's timing. If I would have did this 2 years ago, it wouldn't be the same effect of what I'm building right now. And as I continue to build, I continue to grow. This is the entrepreneur spirit we talking about. This is it. This is the blueprint. You saw the story of where it started to where it is now. Those videos I wanted to create when I was a kid was inspired off wrestling videos, off wrestling promos before pay-per-view, before SummerSlam Hideaway to Hell in 1998 when they used AC/DC with Stone Cold vs. Undertaker. And whoever cut that and edited that, I looked at that footage every day. I recorded on a VHS. I was like, man, how did he do that? That's why in my business, I do the same type of videos. I incorporate that. The way I speak, I love The Rock, his charisma, his promos. You'll see essences of that come out in my content and how I speak. Everything in a pot. And it just continues to add spices, take things out, add things in, and it continues to grow. I don't know where I'm going to end up after this. I don't know where this is going to lead me to, but I know I have big visions for the future. It's not just a video production company. It's not just weddings. Now it's using my voice. Now it's using this platform as a podcast to inspire other entrepreneurs, other filmmakers alike, because in this industry as a filmmaker, it's not as sexy because if you go to, I never went to film school. Film school doesn't teach you anything. No one cared. No, not one of the clients I ever worked with in these past 4 years locally. And I worked with some big dogs. Okay, shout out to Dog Crazy since we talking about dogs. Nancy Gwen, what's up? Chris Grant, I look up to y'all. I work with some big dogs in my community. None of them asked me like, hey, Jamie, before we start, can you show us your certificate you completed film school? Said no one ever. That's why I'm telling you guys, relationships are everything. It's not what you know, but it's who you know. And who you know and who you treat. Because you never know where they're going to end up. I treat the CEO the same way as I do the janitor. When I'm going to these companies, I build a relationship with everybody. Because you never know. And I've seen things start to snowball because of that. And I continue to see that snowball effect now. Just grateful. I wouldn't change this entrepreneur life for anything. I know when I was on this entrepreneur journey, it wasn't as sexy. it was almost taboo. I'm actually working with an entrepreneur tomorrow. Shout out to Jasmine Monet Boutique. We went to Brook Point together. Now she does hair at a hair salon, but now she's expanding her business to wigs and going all online. And we working tomorrow. She's been doing it for 3 years. The time's perfect. I just want to shout out to all the entrepreneurs out there. You know, it's definitely a lot easier now as far as like doing it. And I want this podcast to hopefully inspire. If you have that idea, if something, it's never too late. I think I read that KFC didn't get popping until he was like 60. Walt Disney got declined 30 times before it became Disney. Like, age ain't nothing. I'm talking. Oh, you getting a podcast today. Before I step off though, age isn't nothing. There's no such thing. I know when I hit 33, I enjoy getting older. You know why? Because I surround myself with people who are older than me, successful entrepreneurs and business professionals, and I'm inspired by them because I like what they have. And I'm like, man, I can't wait to hit 45 so I can be like that. I hope I got it like that in this. And but I also like seeing my generation. I don't never hate on nobody. I used to hate. I used to be not hate, but I used to be like, man, try to do better. I used to have that mentality, but now it's all love. Like I'm inspired by people and entrepreneurs my age who's doing it, who's building it, who I know their story. They came from a background, they just flipped it. I love seeing them provide for their family. I love seeing them provide for the community. Shout out to Mello um, at Mondays downtown in Fredericksburg. He's one of them. You know, like I enjoy seeing my best friend Rocky just dominate the market, speak Spanish faster, and still running a basketball channel and top copywriter. And that's my best man. Like I text him every day, call him every day. I love seeing people my age get it. I love seeing younger people, younger than me, successful. I'm learning from everybody. That's one thing I'll tell you. It ain't no competition. If we keep it real, I'm not in competition with no other video company. I'm in competition with myself and the version I was yesterday. That's it. That's who I put myself up against. I let God guide, and I'm in I want to be better than I was yesterday. It takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discernment. Most importantly, build those solid relationships. There's no shortcuts in entrepreneurship. There's not. You can read the books. You can read that. You can fuel your mind. Yes. You can listen to podcasts. You can do everything. But if you don't take action, ain't nothing going to shake. That's what it is. I know for a fact that it would take like 5 years to build something worth meaningful. I'm finally seeing the fruits of that. And I'm finally able to realize, like, you know what? That was worth it. And that's the sacrifice a lot of people get scared of in entrepreneurship because you got to put a lot of risk down. And hopefully everything will work out, or that's a lot of time is. If you could do marriage, you could do business. I look at both the same way. You're investing the same amount of time. I just want to give a shout out to my wife. Without you, I mean, she's been through me since down bottom to now and continues to uplift me and is the best mother to my kids, to my newborn daughter, Kari, baby. This is all for you. You're getting the best version of me. Like, for real. And my two boys, Kion and Carter. I want to be a man that y'all can look up to. This is what I do it for. Leaving a legacy and being an example. Being an example of what it looks like. That's why I quit drinking alcohol. That's why I stopped smoking. That's why I'm so into God. That's why I'm reading the Bible. I'm reciting verses to them. I'm living righteously. I used to curse like a sailor, like a Marine. I'm very mindful now. I slip up here time to time, but I repent for it. It ain't no game. I'm here. Entrepreneurship's the same way as leadership for me. It's the same. It pours into my lifestyle. Maybe y'all hear me knocking. Woof. Now that was a podcast right there. Oh yeah, if you guys are curious, right? If you want to see the old music videos I did in the past, Tristan Cinemas. It's still on YouTube. Everything's documented. My whole life's been documented. You guys can look it up. I have everything in the vault too. When the documentary comes out, it's lit. It's ignited. Oh man, that's all I have for you guys today though. Thank you guys for listening. And hopefully this was able to inspire someone out there on their journey of entrepreneurship. Just start and keep God first. Remember, I'm going to start closing these out like this. Remember, we are all like sticks of dynamite. The power's on the inside, but nothing happens until the fuse gets lit. Ignite the world, baby.